Hey everybody, it's time for The Plot Hole with your hosts, Johnny O and Jeremy Flair.
Are you gay?
Coming at you live.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Every Friday night at 8.
Every Friday night at 8.
On rockmetaltalk.com.
I went with jockeys here.
Something stinks like stale French fries.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
I killed your cat, you druggy bitch.
What I would like to do, Don, I'm going to since you're the guest here, I want you to take about 5 minutes and kind of give us your spiel on the COVID-19, where you stand, and how you came about to your conclusions. And then we'll let JL kind of get in there and we'll have a little bit of a back and forth, if you will.
Well, thank you, guys. So it goes like this. Believe it or not, about 8-9 months ago, because my background is business first and foremost, I sensed something was wrong with and I am speaking predominantly as a Canadian, okay, not so much as an American, but I sensed there was something wrong with the economy where, banks were lending out too much easy money. And I said, my God, why is this happening? And too good to be true. And I sensed through premonitions that we were going to have some sort of recession next year. Believe it or not, I'm not making this up. It's just a gut feeling. Anyways, Christmas went by, and then January, and then here we are with this COVID thing where we got wind of this through the insiders' information, I guess. I'd say in as early as February, and then March, like mid-March, that's when the crap hit the fan. Now,
you can curse, it's okay.
COVID,
You
I'm
say
sorry?
shit.
You can curse if you want, it's okay.
Are you kidding me? I love you guys. That's my middle name. Don Zinno.
There you go.
Goddamn fan.
All right. It's because my background is from terrestrial radio. We couldn't even say ass, for example,
that's the beauty of this. We are actually free to say the goddamn shit hit the fucking fan.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right, cool. Sorry. Last interruption. There you go.
Basically, what happened is that the COVID came upon us, and people weren't taking it seriously. I'm talking generically speaking, until it hit us that with all these stay-home plans and practically forcing us in self-quarantine. I'm talking generically now. Okay, there could be a difference between Canada and USA policies.
No, you're batting 1,000 right now. Continue.
Oh, okay. So what happened is that they started telling us that older guys like me, 65 plus, are at higher risk, and you got to stay home, you can't go out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I say, shit, I feel great. I mean, I do cardio every day for an old man and so on and so forth. No, you got to stay home. You got to keep your distance, social distance. I says, shit, this thing is screwing up the economy. And sure enough, we're in a major, I feel right now, we're in a major recession because the day governments need to bail out people and giving out free money left, right, and center. I'm talking about, America and Canada.
And how did they give that money?
They gave it, I believe in the States, it's $1,250. Right, of course.
All right, hang on. Let's let Don finish his opening remarks, then we'll kind of get into that. We'll get into the discussion part.
I'm just leading up to the thing.
Right now, so.
Okay, but here's what I predicted 2 months ago, whether you believe me or not, and it's somewhere in the archives where I said, Houston, funny, I should be talking to some Texans.
Yep.
Houston, we got a problem. And what's the problem? Yeah, Houston, we got a problem. And I referred as my nickname on Facebook as Commander Des in Houston. Do you copy? Houston, we got a problem. And what's the problem? The problem is that this virus, what I call the C virus, everyone calls it the C virus, is man-made. It's laboratory prefab chemical warfare. And there's no one no one that's going to tell me contrary to that. And they figured it out. Let's see how we can blame the Chinese. And I'm going to lead to everything you need to know. Because Chinese culture dictates that they are very conducive to eating wild animals, anything that moves. It kind of reminds me 40 years ago, before I met my wife, I date anything that moves, and they eat anything that moves, for example, which can be dangerous, but that's not the reason, because what happened is that something went wrong in the Wuhan laboratory, and then all hell broke loose. This is what I know through my reliable sources. Again, JL is that psychoanalyzing me to see if this guy is for real or not, but my police connections have now confirmed what Trump has confirmed, that this is a chemical warfare that's been created in Wuhan, and everybody's saying, all right, let's take care of the economy right now, let's take care of our sick people, let's fix the problem somehow, let's bring America back again, for example, and from here on, we're going to talk American, okay? Because, I mean, it's the biggest economy on earth. So let's take care of America, and then afterwards we're going to go and collect once we've spent $20-30 trillion. Because, folks, I don't want to discourage anyone. By the time all this is said and done, Uncle Sam will have footed at least $20 trillion in debt, unnecessary debt created by a third party. Now, hold that thing. So what happens is that I just got an email this afternoon through my sources where they proved that Dr. Fauci was working for the Obama administration 6 years ago, and apparently he approved some funding to Wuhan laboratory, and they just got a hold of this, and Trump got a hold of this. This happened in the last 24 hours. Oh my God. What's going to happen next? So there's going to be a complete investigation, more so than ever. And if somebody is responsible to be in collusion with the Chinese, and here's my take on this. China, unfortunately, I say this as a true North American, please, and that includes Mexico when I say North America. As a true North American, what happens is that the Chinese have gained too much world governance, dominance. And what does that mean? That means that they own most of our assets. Assets. What's the difference?
Really? You can say assets. They do.
No. Okay, fine. And the fact is that what's going to happen within a few months from now, when things sort of come back to whatever normal is, I think that President Trump is going to go to the Chinese and say, by the way, guys, we got a little bill for you. It's called 10 trillion or 20 trillion, whatever it is. And then the Chinese, who are tough cookies, I guess, are going to say, no, we're not paying that. And then Trump is going to probably say, well, guess what? We're going to freeze all of your assets in America and in Canada, because
they've already done that.
Okay, no, I'm just giving you a Reader's Digest of what I've been, and by the way, that was 60 days ago I said
Right.
this. It wasn't yesterday, so I didn't hear it from a third party and now reporting it to you. I've been hearing bits and pieces through people, and I put the puzzle together, and it's very, very ugly. And let me tell you something, guys. I'm not a fear monger. If we don't fix this economic problem right now within the next, I'd say 30 days, we're going to be facing the mother of all recessions, which will probably lead to the Great Depression. And if that happens, what can I tell you, folks? It was nice knowing you.
Well, you're right on point, and you're correct there, because it's going to lead to a depression that's going to be more powerful than the 20s.
That remains to be seen. All right, so
But
well, hang on.
proof is
So
in the
that's
pudding, which my man has already said.
no. Okay, so we've got your introduction here. That's your Reader's Digest introduction?
I this is what's concerning everyone. I mean, sure, I'd like to talk about the ET UFO truth disclosure, tie it in with this, and a whole bunch of other, let's call them.
But what you're doing with your expertise, you're really describing and talking about the clear and present danger, which is actually happening right now.
It is. And let me oh yeah. And by the way, I'm very careful because I was taught a long time ago never to talk about religions nor politics. And
it has nothing to do with it right now.
Right, but it could be. You can be friends with everyone by not doing so. But I got to tell you something. The previous administration, they've got a lot of dirt on them that's popping up. How could you not plausibly believe in some of those truths? Like, for example, some of the videos that were presented to me through my connections, and say, just like this one came from a military connection. It's right here in front of me. Where how come Putin has been so quiet in the last 8 months? Have you heard Putin make the news any? How come the other guy there?
No, he's been shut up.
Yeah, number one. Number two, how come all of a sudden in the last couple of months, I call him Porky the Pig, in North Korea, has been playing with his firecrackers over the Asian seas,
I love.
Did I say something wrong?
No, you're good. All right.
Did I say?
No, you're good.
They used to call me Salty Dog. Salty Dog.
All right.
I'm a salty guy, kind of a guy. But what's happening? It's going to, if they don't fix the problem amicably, it's going to get ugly.
We got your side of the fence over here with your opening statements. We're going to give JL some time to kind of rummage through that, and then we're going to give you again about 5-10 minutes, JL, if you will, and then we'll get the open discussion going.
Okay, all right. So 5 to 10 minutes. So that was a loot crate, a cornucopia of internet intrigue that kind of came through there. So I'll try and source through that from my notes. So, for those who don't know, COVID-19. COVID-19 is what COVID-19 is actually an anagram. What it stands for is coronavirus disease 2019, because 2019 was the year that it was discovered. That's what we're talking about here. Is apparently COVID-19 conspiracy. So, I guess I'll just jump right in there. There is no evidence to support the conspiracy theory, or any notion that COVID-19 or that this coronavirus was a bioweapon. It does not have the hallmarks of a bioweapon. It is not a genetically engineered version of a previous one. We have actually virologists across the world have traced this version of the coronavirus to its natural reservoir in China, and that from that natural reservoir, it then made a novel jump to a human host, and it's been human-to-human transmission since then. We know this for a fact. This is demonstrable. There are papers that are written about it, and that is how the WHO and the CDC got on top of it so quick, because they worked with Chinese officials in order to understand this bug before it spread. But unfortunately, that takes time, and current tenuous the issues between us and China at the time made communication difficult between them and us, and of course, it spread west and ravaged everything from China all the way to the UK. And eventually got to us as well through commerce and through vacation travel. So we know that for a fact. We know that is the evidence that we have for that. So we know the source of the virus, and I guess I'll just tackle these one by one. Chinese-American relations. It would be absolutely foolish for the Chinese to unleash a bioweapon on the United States of America. Their economy is intricately linked into our economy. They own as much of us as we own of them. Now, whereas they have commerce and they have business with us, we have military with them, and so it's not the same we kind of own each other, but we do own each other. If one of us falls, the other one will fall as well, because all of our money is tied up in the other one. And that's problematic. So if they were to unleash a bioweapon against us, they would actually be losing more than they would actually gain. It would decimate our economy, which in turn would decimate their economy. The best example for this is when North Korea launched its hacker attack on Sony, okay, and caused Sony stock to plummet because of the emails because of the emails that were released. When that happened, China literally shut off North Korea's internet because they control it. And that they did that as punishment for what they did, because if you attack Sony, which is housed in America but is a Chinese subsidiary, you hurt China. Hurting America hurts China. If America hurt China, that would hurt America. It's mutually assured destruction on an economic level. So no, there's no point in doing that. Okay, so Chinese-American relations. This bug doesn't play into it. We would not attack each other. China has bigger fish to fry, and we have bigger fish to fry. So the anti-Obama rhetoric that ties into the $3.7 million grant in 2015 that went to the virology lab that was in Wuhan. Now, what was left out of that little report, because I looked into that, was that 3.7 million came from America, but there was 9 or 10 other countries that donated into that grant package. Okay, so that was many countries coming together and putting a large grant package together to go to the leading virology laboratory in the modern world. Because China, because of their cultural traditions, it does open them up to potential disease vectors. They know this, they understand it, and that is why they are the leading investigator, and they basically house the leading virologists in the world. They were stationed at the Wuhan lab. So that grant package in 2015 was designed specifically that came from us, that came from Germany, that came from France, that came from the UK, that came from Russia, that actually came from a number of other countries, specifically to study and develop vaccines against viruses. Okay, the coronavirus being one of them. Now, the coronavirus is also prone to high mutation, which is how this happened so quickly and how it kind of got away from us. Okay, luckily it's just human to human right now, and there are the only real solid vectors are human to human transmission. However, we are seeing now animals, domestic cats and domestic dogs picking it up as well, which means that it is most likely in the verge of another mutation. And that means that dogs and cats, our pets, could potentially be vectors for it as well, which puts the stray population in serious danger. That makes me kind of sad. So that explains the 3.7 million that came from the U.S. That was a part of a giant grant block that went from multiple countries specifically for studying viruses at the top lab in the world. Unfortunately, your sources, Don, they can't be verified.
Let me interject for 1 second.
Go ahead.
So if we have an entity that is able to produce antivirus, correct?
Wait, what do you mean?
What you just said with China, antiviruses,
No. I think what he said was he was talking about studies to get vaccines or treatments and such.
It's a virology lab,
right?
Same thing.
It's literally a lab dedicated to virology and the study of viruses.
Thing. What I just said was correct, and it's the same thing. So
no, because antibodies are produced in the human body after the human body has been exposed to a virus.
Okay.
They don't produce antibodies in a lab. The antibodies are produced by your body, and then the vaccine is what triggers the production of antibodies.
May I? Okay. If you don't have the actual virus, how can you produce a vaccine?
But we do have the actual virus.
Yeah, I mean, that's easily obtainable now after the fact.
Yeah. The disease vector is...
We're talking about... No, hold on. We're talking about before the fact and moving forward.
What do you mean?
Fact.
Okay, so this is basic virology. So a virus itself has a particular DNA code, and the vaccine that we utilize, that we develop from that, is based upon that virus's DNA code. The problem is that viruses, because their generational lifespan is so short, and they move through host species very, very quick, like the cold, like the flu. That's why the flu consistently changes, which is why they recommend you get a flu shot every season, is because the flu mutates rapidly,
which is
and like crazy. Okay,
also.
which is why the vaccine from last year may not be as effective as the vaccine this year. Which is why they recommend. It's not. It's a part of its evolution. You are correct. It is a part of that evolution, but those mutations can either hurt or help the virus, because like the H1N1, the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, was a particularly nasty strain of the virus, of that particular coronavirus, and so that killed so many people, and we had to basically quarantine in order to shut that thing down, because we could not get in front of it other than shutting everything down. Okay, the problem with this one is that before, when it was in its natural reservoir before it jumped to humans, it already mutated once, and we could get the natural reservoir, but that means any vaccine, which takes literally 12 to 18 months to ensure it is human safe, human grade. Before we can do that, it had already mutated one time. And that mutation is what made human-to-human transfer so readily, or so easy. Okay? And then with humans not being aware of it...
Where was it harnessed?
What do you mean, where was it harnessed?
Hi, I'm Jay Farner.
I think I just asked a direct question. Where was it harnessed?
No, I mean, I'm not understanding your question, because I think you're using the wrong word, harness.
Harnessed.
Yeah, where was...
Well, hang on a second. Where was what harnessed?
Where was the virus?
The actual specimen.
Okay, the initial reservoir was in Wuhan. That was the natural reservoir.
Thank you.
That it jumped to humans from, but it was a mutation that allowed it to jump to humans. Okay. And then that mutation is what allowed it to rampantly spread through humanity. So that means we need a vaccine for the reservoir, and we need a vaccine for the human transmission. Okay, to ensure that they're both effective. Okay, and the problem is the reservoir is still there, and it could mutate again. But they have it on lockdown. The Chinese officials have locked that down to ensure that it doesn't spread anymore. That was the whole point of locking down Wuhan.
They have locked it down for their own potential benefit, just like we would do in the same situation.
Well, yeah, if you find a natural disease reservoir in your territory, you want to lock that down. So that is what they did. But so now we're fighting a mutated strain of that original reservoir.
They put it in the refrigerator.
Well, I mean, I don't live in China, but I can imagine they probably took samples of it. They probably have those on ice. They probably relocated them to another virology lab so they could study it, and they probably destroyed the rest.
I have a question. First of all, kudos to you, JL. I think you're a very knowledgeable person. This is the first time that I'm making your acquaintance, and kudos. You've done your homework.
Well, if I can, before you jump on, just like, I'm going to finish up these points real quick. I just have two others. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of the sources that Don is citing, they can't be. We can't confirm those sources. So we have positions, we have titles, we have something, but a lot of these things they cannot be. We can't verify anything that's coming from these sources, and pretty much they're not matching up the majority of the information that is out there. It's fringe information at best and dubious at worst. So with unverifiable and unconfirmed information, we got to take that with a grain of salt. We have to go where the knowledge is. We have to go where the epidemiologists are. We have to go where the virologists are. We have to go where they're talking about the economy. We have to go where they're talking about what governments are planning to do about this. And we have to go to reputable sources about what they are, about what those are. And last but not least, you mentioned Kim Jong-un and Putin. So Putin has not actually been quiet. Putin just hasn't been making waves because of this virus scenario. Russia is dealing with this as well as America. They're just, the way Russia handles things is they don't make big deals out of it because the media is extremely locked down in Russia, especially in times of national emergency. The Russian government has a long history of maintaining strict control over the government in order to keep mass panic, and basically to keep everything that's happening here in America, that is dividing us, that is confusing us, that is just all this disbursement of misinformation, Russia does not allow that. So that being made, C virus, a couple last things. C virus, that was really cute. It's a kind of a pull off the T virus from Resident Evil. I've never heard anybody call it that, and I know a lot of people that actually work around this thing in both the medical industry. I have a lot of friends that work for hospitals. I have a friend who is currently at work right now in the ER dealing with this very fucking thing. I have lost a couple people that in other states who have I've lost people to this virus, so I know that it's real, and we're going to be.
You're not the only one.
And so, when it comes down to it, to conclude, we cannot allow our suspicions of China because of what our president has alluded to. Hold on.
Hang on, Keith. Let him finish.
So hold on.
Keith, let him finish.
The problem is that our president has given a public image to China. The way he has spoken about them, the way that he has talked about Xi Jinping. The problem is that
you just don't like it.
Many Americans are allowing the image that was painted for them to color what they think of what they're doing. And that is wholly intellectually dishonest. We have to look at the sources, not people's opinions and not people's suppositions in regards to what they think is going down. Because when we do that, we open ourselves up to danger.
But are you putting out your...
Hold on, Keith.
Keith, hang on. Let him finish. We'll get into the discussion in just a second.
When we open ourselves up to disinformation and misinformation, when we allow that in, we can end up making decisions that can, at this point right now, that can cost lives.